After 4 long and bloody years and 37 million casualties, the United States and the Allies have finally claimed victory, forcing Germany to surrender. But while the fighting has stopped, the pressure is now on the Allied leaders to come to an agreement, preventing war from ever breaking out again. As negotiations to secure the peace get underway in France, massive crowds greet the world leaders, including United States President Woodrow Wilson.
Woodrow Wilson was the first president of the United States to spend anywhere near 6 months outside this country, and he felt that for him to send anyone else to negotiate the peace, it would not have been as well done. Wilson said, whatever happens with this settlement of this war, if it goes well, give me credit. If it doesn't, blame me.
The leaders gather at the Palace of Versailles, but one country not invited to the table is Germany.
Gentlemen, please sit down. If we can start by considering the points before we discuss any of the individual ideas, or...
The main thing that Woodrow Wilson wanted to accomplish at Versailles was defanging Germany, not allowing them to develop a huge war machine again. This was what the victors all wanted to see happen.
But as negotiations get underway, Wilson quickly realizes that each country has come to the table with their own agenda.
There were these national leaders who had different views of what they wanted out of the Paris Peace Conference. They had led their countries through this brutal, bloody, long war. And Wilson waltzes in with the Americans just at the end. So they had to listen to him. And Wilson could be kind of persuasive, but not that persuasive.
As negotiations drag on for months, the talks fall apart. And one Allied nation feels completely cut out of the negotiations. Japan entered the war in 1914, contributing thousands of troops and millions of dollars to the war effort. They come to Versailles with one goal: to be treated equally. But Allied leaders completely ignore Japan throughout the proceedings. And for Japan, it's the ultimate insult.
The Japanese, who'd been on the winning side, get this slap at the peace conference. So the Japanese became alienated from the United States and from the Western powers, and it was a fairly straight line from there to the belief that if we're going to get any respect, it's going to be by fighting our way to respect it.
The attention shifts from Wilson's plan for a lasting peace to a plan focused on punishing Germany, forcing them to pay for the devastation they've caused.
The reparations that were demanded of Germany were astronomical. It was a matter of, we're going to squeeze as much out of Germany as we can. Well, there was someone on the American side who said, we are making the next war inevitable. Wilson worked against that. Wilson wanted a somewhat more reasonable peace. And he wanted the Germans to feel that they had a stake in the continuation of the Versailles system. The problem with the treaty, as it was finalized, was Germany had no stake in that system and had every interest in overturning the system.
Despite Wilson's best efforts, he is unable to convince the other allies to buy into his plan for peace. After 6 months of intense negotiations, the Allies finally have a treaty. But the final agreement is far from the fair and equitable plan Wilson had originally hoped for.
The losers, Germany principally, they were there. They didn't get to speak. They weren't asked to contribute. They were basically, they had a gun put at their heads, figuratively, almost literally, and said, you're going to sign on the dotted line. It was very much a victor's peace. The victors dictated the terms of the peace. They made out like bandits.
Europe is finally at peace. But while most of the world celebrates, Germany is ordered to pay the Allies over $80 billion, the modern equivalent of nearly $500 billion, a debt they won't pay off until 2010. As a result, the government quickly goes bankrupt, leaving millions of Germans impoverished. The economic devastation completely transforms the country and its people.
Germany immediately is struggling with a question of survival. For ordinary Germans, the war did not end in November 1918. For ordinary Germans, the battle for survival, the daily struggle for food, the effort to find shoes and clothing stretched on into the 1920s.
As the anger and starvation spread, tensions rise throughout the country.
Germany is in a state of near civil war. The left and the right are fighting each other in the streets. Paramilitary groups clash. Germany is a country divided against itself.
When World War I came to an end, this is not a treaty. This is an armistice that'll probably last 20 years. Meaning we have not really defeated the German spirit. We have not really solved this problem.